last thing that we're going to learn how to do in this section is actually write chemical equations when I give you symbols. But the first thing we have to do is recognize our diatomic elements. Now, our diatomic elements are seven elements, which when they are by themselves, you cannot write them by themselves. So for example, hydrogen does not exist as just H when it's by itself, like sodium. Sodium is fine being just Na. It's stable, it's okay. Hydrogen, however, is not stable when it's by itself and instead needs to be covalently bound to another hydrogen. So hydrogen exists as H2 when it's by itself, only when it's by itself. Okay? Nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, all seven of those cannot simply exist by themselves. You can't just have O. You can't just have F. You can't just have Cl. Those are very unstable, and so in a typical reaction, you will not see those by themselves. So let's actually write the formula for a reaction. I'm told I have sodium hydroxide reacting with iron 2 chloride. So those are going to be my reactants. So I'm first going to write the chemical formula for sodium hydroxide. Well, sodium, this is an ionic compound, so I'm going to cross charges. Sodium has a +1 charge, hydroxide has a -1 charge, so that would just be NaOH. It reacts with iron 2 chloride. Well, this tells me that iron has a 2+ charge, and chlorine, I know, has a -1 charge. So when I cross my charges, I get FeCl2. That produces, or it forms, so I need my arrow, my products, which are sodium chloride and iron 2 hydroxide. Well, sodium chloride is an ionic compound, so again, I've got to cross my charges. Sodium has a +1 charge, chlorine has a -1 charge, that produces NaCl, and, well, iron has a 2 charge, hydroxide is -1, so when I cross my charges, again, because it's an ionic compound, I get FeOH in parentheses 2. The last thing I need to do is balance. So I look, I've got 2 hydroxides on my product side. I only have 1 hydroxide on my reactant side, so I'm going to put a 2 in front of sodium hydroxide. Now I have 2 sodiums on my reactant side, but only 1 on my product side, so I'm going to put a 2 there. Now I have 2 chlorines on my product side and 2 on my reactant side, so I'm good there. And I've got 1 iron on my reactant side and 1 iron on my product side, so I am balanced. So in this video, guys, you learned how to identify a chemical reaction. You learned about reactants and products. You learned about the states of matter of your reactants and your products. You also learned how to balance, and then finally you were able to take what you learned in chapter 6 with naming and writing the formulas for compounds and actually were able to write your own chemical equation.